Okay, hello everyone. I don't actually expect a lot of people to be here today because this is an impromptu stream out of nowhere, which was like announced 15 minutes ago. So hi everyone who is actually here. But it's not going to be a super exciting stream because I just am going to continue learning Rust. And because I'm learning Rust this weird method, which I developed over the years, that kind of will mean that I will just continue transcribing some code from a project. And that's basically what I will be doing today, so don't expect too much fun. You can stick around and be on the chat, but yeah. I guess it's going to be more fun later on. Okay, now what I need is I need to find the browser. Where's my browser? Live streaming, that sounds reasonable. Okay, let's switch to okay, let's go to my desktop. Perfect. And my notes. Okay, this Google Docs tried to show me something really important and I just accidentally clicked it through. What happens? Okay, so I'm to do continue from here, continue transcribing this stuff. So this is what I'm going to do. This is the line where I finished. If you're wondering what I'm doing is I am learning Rust. I am in the very initial phase of learning Rust, which in my case means that I am just copying code, or rather not copying code, but I'm typing in code from another project. This project is done by Stellardrone. It's what I was told is a rather old BMP parsing library. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'm just typing it in to kind of get a feel of how the code, the syntax looks like, and that's it. That's literally it. I just need to kind of familiarize myself with the syntax and start looking for some patterns, start like seeing some patterns in the code, and also start asking questions. Later on, when I will be transcribing a little bit more code, that will be the initial few hours of my learning. I will start like noting the questions as well, which I have, and then I will look for answers. But for now, just transcribing, and I'm in the lib file, which means I need to continue with this one. This code wasn't, of course, written by me. It was written, as mentioned, by Sondra Levsaker. I apologize if I butchered the name. And yeah, I'm just transcribing it to continue from here. Perfect. And what I finished with is I finished a function, a public function, which I believe is a method. And just wanted to note two things. First of all, thank you for Foxtrot Charlie for being here. I do not think you will have a lot of work today, but thank you for being here anyway. Now, I did receive from a lot of you folks actually a lot of hints about what I was doing and what I was learning. And sooner or later, I will go through all of them. For now, I just want to finish going through this, but then I will read through them because I'm pretty sure, just based on what you've written, what you sent me, I'm going to get some more insight into what I'm learning. Okay, so now continue from here, and we have this returns the width of an image. I don't think this requires even a comment. This is like a pretty like, well, okay, it is a documentation comment. This is what I already know, but there are like documentation comments. I'm guessing this extra slash here means that this is a doc comment basically. So maybe I should see where this appears when I build the cargo. And is this like markdown? Does it actually support markdown? That would be cool. I was told that this code which I'm transcribing isn't like fully idiomatic with in terms of modern Rust. So yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't think that's a huge problem. Languages change. I observed the evolutions of multiple languages. Some of them like for like literally like decades. Well, 2 decades, but still decades. Okay, so I don't think like the fact that I need to relearn what I learned about like some part of the syntax is going to be a problem. I think that's actually fine. I was thinking about like JavaScript. I've started with JavaScript around 98-ish, so that's what, 25 years, I guess. Yeah, and I started C a few years after that, and I guess like C and C++ was also a pretty long evolution, which I got to observe. Yeah, one thing which I already learned is that if there is no semicolon at the end here, this isn't like a statement. This is actually a return value, which is pretty cool because I don't have to write return. On the flip side, this isn't like when I didn't know about it, and I didn't know about it, right? I was like, hey, what's going on here? So, but I would say like in that term, Rust doesn't really meet the principle of least astonishment. There is such a thing. You can look it up on Wikipedia. And that's basically a design principle which says that, yeah, you shouldn't really, like stuff should work as expected and you shouldn't surprise your users with different things. For example, here, missing return. Return is like in a lot of languages. So missing return here is a surprise, and I guess like, it's not a bad thing. Honestly, that's pretty easy to learn, but it's pretty pretty funny at the same time, and it did take me by surprise. Hello. I also don't know how long will the stream today take. A few, not a few hours, but like maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour. We'll see how it goes. It is Friday evening. I do have some other stuff, more weekendy stuff I wanted to do later, so I don't think this is going to be a super long stream, but I did want to push ahead a little bit with transcribing. Okay, so this is setting the pixel. I get a mutable object as self. So this is why they... okay, now I get it. I was wondering, like, why am I typing here, like, a reference to self? Like, this is kind of funny. Good that I don't have to type the type here already. But I was wondering, like, why do I need to do this? Is it like in Python where, you know, you in a method, you always write self as the first argument, and when calling the method, you omit it? Because it's actually like, you don't have to omit it, but you usually omit it because it's a bound method when you're calling it. Anyway, and here I see that what they did is like, in C++, what you do, if you have a method, you can put const at the end, meaning that this method won't actually change anything. It will just read values. So here in these functions, these methods, actually, we read a value of this object, but we don't change anything. So in terms of C++, that would be a const method, or a method which doesn't really modify anything. So I see that they actually are using this self parameter, the first parameter, to denote whether this is actually changing something or not changing something. This is a great information for a compiler, and also like a lot of error checking can be done thanks to that. So that's pretty cool. How can I integrate AI with CLI? From KrzaQ, you can. There's like API for some AIs. Like ChatGPT has a really cheap API. Well, ChatGPT 3.5 has a really cheap API. For ChatGPT 4.0 has a little bit more expensive, but yeah, the API is like super easy. You just get a key, you register there, you put in your credit card, you get the key, and like it's super easy to use. Like literally, you can literally tell ChatGPT to write an app which uses ChatGPT through the API. So yeah, it's not bad. Like try it, just try it. It's literally really easy. Minus y minus 1. Okay. Well, oh, okay. So this is already interesting in terms of BMP, because this is grabbing the coordinate from like top down, right? Because as I mentioned on last live stream, BMPs are written in the file by default top down. This is not the case in case the height parameter in BMP in the headers was specified as a negative value, when it's normally written like top to bottom. So this kind of means that they don't really support it. Like I don't see any code to support the normally written BMPs. I see only the bottom to top written, bottoms up written BMPs, which is funny. Okay, and I need to scroll a little bit here to see what's... Oh, val. Oh, well, obviously, I could have guessed that. So we just set a pixel to a value. And this is usize. I have no idea what's usize. If usize is anything similar to size t or std size, or was it size type in in C++ object, then that makes a lot of sense. Okay, then I have another inline. Okay, wait. Does this inline? What does this inline do? Is it like inline like in C and C++, which actually is a hint for the compiler to say that hey, you don't really need to call a method here. You can just like grab that method code and like put it in the place where the call should be, which is like sometimes it's faster. Usually it's faster, honestly. Not always, but usually. If this inline is also hinting the compiler, that's fine. And compilers, I don't know if modern compilers like really use these hints a lot. Maybe they do. As in they can decide on themselves. Okay, here is the same. So like the height of a bitmap -1 minus y. One interesting thing here is that there is no bounce checking. Maybe Rust doesn't need bounce checking, and this is what I guess I know about Rust a little bit, but it's a safer language. So lack of bounce checking here would kind of point me to say that either somebody was like really careless, or this actually language doesn't require a bounce check because of like the compiler will handle that. It would be same like in C++ if we have a vector, like a vector we could do an at. Then at does bounce checking, but if we do like the same like with index, this doesn't do bounce checking. Yeah, that's why C++ isn't a great language for programming, because like you need to know these details. It's not like secure or safe by default, and Rust is, from what I've heard, is better in these regards. And I am really happy that I'm finally moving towards actually experiencing that myself. Image index, what is an image index? Did I see an image index here before? Image index, no I haven't, so that's a new thing. So image index is apparently a class, and it apparently has a static method, a factory, as we saw, because I think you already explained to me on the chat last time, but Rust doesn't really have constructors. It uses like the factories, basically a factory approach. Factory being, oh, this is just returning an object. Oh, that's interesting. Why is it coordinate? I don't understand this function, but okay, maybe I can see how it's used. So yeah, what I was saying, like a factory is basically a static function which creates an object of a class it's a member of and initializes it, which is kinda what a constructor does, but it also like usually does more initialization than just that. Inline and inline always. Oh, there's Pony says that I can do inline always to actually enforce inline. Hey, that's cool. I don't think C compilers have that. I'm getting a pixel instead of setting the pixel. Wait, get pixel. I'm setting a pixel. Sorry. Thank you very much, Pukar Giri, for pointing this mistake out. That was probably I was looking in the wrong place and on the right side. Okay, then we have what's here? Coordinates. Okay, coordinates returns this image index, and it returns. I don't get it, but okay, maybe that will become clear later. What does it do? Then we have another public method. Say okay, hello triangle brackets. I have not observed triangle brackets before. What are you? Are you templates or are you something else? I honestly don't know what's a triangle bracket. So does this look like a template? Okay, I guess I am going to see how it's used, but if it's a template, it looks weird. Path P. Okay, so I know this is the type and this is the name, right? Which means P is a template, but is this like a specialized template in C++? Okay, I have no idea. And result is apparently... I have no idea. What is this? IO result and... No idea? No idea. Like, this is... what? Is it a weird hat? Okay. That's an interesting question, which I will have to find an answer later. I honestly don't know. It's like, it looks like a template invocation, but with an empty parenthesis. Okay, let a mutable variable called the BMP file be equal to... Oh, perfect. I wanted to actually... I was wondering, how do you interact with files, and apparently there's fs file. Question mark. What's a question mark? Like, I don't know. Okay, that's funny. That's something I have to figure out later. I didn't see a question mark before, I think, in this file. Self to writer and mut.bmp file. Why do I have to specify mutable? Oh, but I want to pass a mutable reference to this. Otherwise, it would be neither a reference nor mutable, maybe. One thing which I need to figure out is, like, is Rust more like C and C++ language, where you have variables which are which are like plain old data, POD, this is what they are called, which just have a value, and then I would have references to these variables, right? And on the opposite is, for example, Python, where in Python everything is a reference. And please, I know, but it's not called a reference, it's called, I think, a name. And you have an object, and there are these labels attached, which are called names to an object. This is how you should think about it in Python. And usually, like, high-level languages like JavaScript, Python are like that. And a little bit lower-level languages like Java. I'm saying, yeah, I know Java isn't like a really low-level language, right? But Java is also in this category, like, or C or C++. Are usually in the prior category, which I mentioned. So I don't know yet what to think about Rust, but the presence of explicit references kinda points me to think that is the same model as like Java, like C, in terms of variables. Okay, and this one isn't in line, and this one isn't in line either, or is it in line? Is it just in line above the comment? No, this is just me doing muscle memory, like really quickly acquired muscle memory, apparently. Cool. Okay, so someone said that this is a unit type, and hooker says, and this means that it either returns an IO error or a void. Oh, so this is void. Okay. Okay, I don't like reading this part of code. I don't know how I would figure this out, but I guess this is specific to like more idiomatic of Rust, which is fine. Okay, to writer. W is writer. Oh, it's right. W is right, whatever that is. Self. Self and destination is a mutable writer. Mutable write. Is it like... I wonder about these templates. Are these like templates which are maybe you can pass an interface to them? But like anything you pass to this template actually has to implement a write interface? Maybe that's something like that. Again, I'm just guessing at this point. I have no idea. So these are just my guesses. We'll see later when I learn. Or I guess if you already know Rust, then you know. But I don't. So I'm just making like some guesses, some like hypotheses, putting a couple of them, and then I will be testing them. Cool. Let BMP data encoder be assigned an encoder. Encode image self, and again a question mark. Destination, write, and I write BMP data into it. Or do I? Because apparently there's a question mark again. And then I do an OK with too many brackets, and this is a return value. Camille writes that normally file create returns a so-called result with a question mark. It's kind of syntax sugar that lets you avoid verifying if the result has errored or not. A function won't continue and return an error if file create has failed. Oh, okay. So this is basically a check. If it failed, then throw an exception, something like that. Hello. Okay, and then this is outside of what is it? Oh, it's outside of is it outside of the object? Wait, Oh, it's outside of implementation of image. But am I operating in some namespace? Why is it like so? Oh, no, it's just like how it's shown. Okay, that's fine. Which means this is the image index, so it's a little bit too far. Save right here, format. Okay, so when I implement, or rather provide an implementation for format debug for image. Oh, I provide implementation of format debug for image, and this is done. I'm guessing format debug is an interface of some kind. I've implemented already such formats before, like, or rather copied, not really implement, like copied them from this file. Okay, and I get the, okay, and this is getting funny because now the template for result, but this is not IO result, this is just a result. It's either this empty thingy, which is, it's void or something. Oh, it doesn't throw an exception and returns an IO result. Okay. Are there exceptions in Rust? That's another good question. I have mixed feelings, honestly, about exceptions. It's like the good thing about exceptions is that you can omit a lot of code, which is like, if this function returned an error, then return error, and yeah, and but like saves a lot of coding, right? Because you can trust the function to throw an exception, then you just like in somewhere in your stack you catch the exceptions, and that's great, right? Like less code. On the flip side, my issues with exceptions is basically that if you forget to catch an exception, then yeah, your thread or your application will just crash. Because like if nothing catches an exception, then everything crashes. And the issue there is that there are usually, for example, in Python, it depends on the language, okay? But for example, in Python, there are no good ways to specify which exceptions need to be caught. And also if you have like a super long piece of like code, right, which is like somewhere up the stack, there's an exception handler, which is supposed to catch all exceptions so that nothing goes above. But you don't want to do like really catch all exception, as in, you know, like to just accept to catch everything. You don't want to do that because that's a bad pattern and that usually doesn't help you. You just want to enumerate every exception and catch it and react to it properly. When there are no good tools which would just go through the code and tell you, oh, there are like so many exceptions, or like these are the exceptions that you need to catch. Like just, you know, going through all the calls, all the classes, all the objects, and enumerating all exceptions which might be thrown. I had an idea to write such tool. But even if there would be such a tool, the issue there is that, like, there might be, I don't know, like 100 exceptions which you at some point need to handle. Because you use like multiple classes, multiple objects, every class has like defined 15 exceptions of its own, and which can actually be thrown by the methods which you are using. So you'd have to handle a lot of exceptions, and that doesn't really. And then you add like some method somewhere in a file, and you have to change the exception handler like 3 files away from that. I don't think that's a great thing either. To add to that, for example, on Linux, C++ exceptions are implemented in bytecode, which is executed on a virtual machine. Really, you like C++ throws an exception, and this switches into virtual machine mode, which starts going through bytecode to basically like clean up the stack and be able to exit from the function. It's super interesting actually, and you can, if you generate assembly, you can actually see that. But yeah, that's not exactly an efficient and fast mechanism, right? So if Rust doesn't have exceptions, I am not going to cry, honestly. It's just like, yeah. But apparently it has chaining of, yeah, apparently it has chaining. As in call chaining, like, which is something you can see pretty commonly in JavaScript, I would say. That's like, you can see it in any language, but it's Or like cout in C++ is also like a typical example of call chaining, or which kind of like looks a little bit different there. But it, like the operator returns basically self. This is how it works. So here as well, this field, which is a method probably of this thing which returns an object, I'm guessing, and I'm guessing field every time returns self. Okay, yeah, there is more Rust. Yeah, no exception. Paradox PL writes there is no exception, only panic, but most of the time they are terminal, if I remember correctly. Terminal meaning that the application is killed, not recoverable. Okay, give me 3 minutes, folks. I need to take a really short break, and I'll be right back with you. So be right back. I'm going to leave you with some music in that case. Okay, my apologies for the music being louder than my voice. Sorry about that. I do believe I need to grab a sound engineer someday and fix my streams, but that will happen sooner or later. Was part of a plan actually to make the more videos and more live streams and get them to a little bit more better level quality-wise. So that will happen sooner or later. Yeah. The stream might be actually shorter even than I thought. I might have to go and do something. But let's continue transcribing for now. Okay, so D-line writes that panic is the closest thing to in Rust to exceptions, and it's similar to Golang. Panics should be used as terminal errors. They, by default, do stack unwinding, but can just exit. They are per thread. That is cool. I like that. I like that. That's not a bad choice, honestly. Exceptions are, yeah, like, so it's not a bad mechanism, but it's like really hard to get them right. Okay, then I can do this, I can do this. Color palette. But the back struct thing is pretty interesting. So F has it, the formatter has it. It's pretty cool. Does that mean that like if this could be hooked up to something which like generates a nice graphical table or something? Like I learned like I don't know, like a year ago or something, or maybe 2 years ago, that console object in JavaScript has .table, I think, which is like pretty amazing for showing like output logs in form of a table and not really just text. So this is pretty cool. Or this is it like really for, because like I have an image struct defined, right? I had something like that. Yeah, pub struct image. Is it just like, is it a function which sets, no, which, oh, you know what? You probably want to see the code, not me. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So, okay, so I'm looking at this image struct and then I'm looking at this like fields, right? I was just typing this in. I'm wondering if it's like, if it's just binding a field to, okay. That sounds a bit boring. But on the flip side, does that mean that Rust doesn't have like reflections? On the flip side, like C++ reflections are pretty flimsy at best, right? So, but what I'm doing, since I have to do something like that, that really sounds like it doesn't have great reflections, which is fine. Honestly, I don't use reflections too much. I don't think I almost ever needed them in C++ unless doing some really, really weird stuff. Finish. Okay, that's funny. Which kind of means that, yeah, I wonder, so this is like the formatter for, but it has to have some reflections if I even to do this. On the flip side, it cannot do it on its own, perhaps? Otherwise, there would be probably a function to do it. Yeah, so maybe there are some reflections, but not too powerful. What about error as values? That's a great question. I like std optional and similar things. That's not a bad thing. On the flip side, in like languages which have rather loose typing, like JavaScript or TypeScript, it always annoys me that I don't know if an error, like if I get an error, I will get a returned undefined or null. Because should I be testing for both? Is it going to be like either of them? Or maybe I'm going to get not a number. I don't know. Derive, I don't know what derive means. Oh no, derive was that somebody already told me on the last live stream, but it was related to implementation, auto implementation. Yeah, it was this auto implementation of some additional, I guess like, it's like a mixin, right? Or something like that. A mixin being basically when you create a class and you want some functionality, like already implemented functionality into this class, then you just like you inherit over a mixin basically, and mixin just provides that functionality. And mixin by itself isn't supposed to be used with anything. It's just like you're supposed to mix in the methods of one class into another. So maybe with Derive, maybe it's similar. Again, I don't have to be right now. It's just like I kind of have to start thinking about these things, and then when I have questions in my head and I will be reading actual like books, tutorials, documentation, whatever, these questions I will find answers to them in the text. And I won't even have to think about the questions anymore. If I would read the book now without having the questions in my head, then it wouldn't give me as much. This is why I didn't start with a book, but I just started with just like dumbly copying code, which I guess doesn't look smart, but I don't think this is a bad idea. Okay, then I implement for image index a function, okay, a factory, right? So with u32, height u32, and image index but is reflection compile time? Well, reflection can be, I guess kind of depends, but it doesn't have to be compile time. In some languages it is, yeah. Who cares writes that macros allows some kind of reflection, only at compilation time, not runtime, and it's called traits. Okay. I guess modern C++ also has like the concept of traits. Okay, wait. What's going on here? Okay, what's going on here? Wait, what? Why? Oh, okay, no, that's weird. Why are these named and these are not named? Is it because it's... I already was thinking about like this some time ago when I implemented another part of this code. Like, is this like a shorthand for with? Like, is it same as in JavaScript? That would be amazing. I would not hate that at all. Okay. Implementation iterator for image index. Type item is... Okay, so this is same as typedef or using, I guess, in C++, C and C++. Like I'm just defining a new type, which is called item, which is actually a... This is a tuple, right? This is going to be just a pair. If Rust has like native tuples or something like that, that's really cool. In C++, there's like partial support for native tuples. Sometimes you have to explicitly use them, but sometimes there's like some syntax sugar for that. Okay, optional... Why am I using this here instead of item? Like, can I just use item? I just define the type like this. Or is it not an item? Is it just something that is like semantically identical, but is actually has a different meaning, like logical meaning to it? Oh, ifs, perfect. I had some ifs already in the code. Okay, if self.x is smaller than with. First, another thing to notice is that if doesn't have brackets. But it's using logical operators, same as in C, JavaScript, and so on, which is cool. Or maybe it doesn't, I don't know. So okay, here's the funny thing. What's the result, like the type result of this expression in Rust? In C or C++ or Java or yeah, like or Python, for example, the result type would be a boolean, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a boolean in Rust. And I also lied because in C that's actually an integer, I believe, which is 0 or 1, which is like basically a boolean, right? But not fully. That being said, in JavaScript, the result of this this expression is going to be either... It would be either this value, the value of this expression, or the value of this expression, which, okay, in both cases, this would be a boolean, right? But if this wouldn't be a boolean expression, but like something else, just an object, then it would be that object. I'm pretty sure, because like Rust looks like a rather strictly typed language, but it's going to be a boolean, which is interesting, not like mind-breaking or something, but or groundbreaking, but yeah. Okay, then I do create. So this is how you actually create an object. Oh, sum. Wait, what? Sum. Sum already had sum. I don't remember what it did. Oh, I probably don't remember what it did because, yeah, I don't know it. If it's equal to width, then we just switch to the next scan line. Yeah, pretty typical code for an iterator operating on pixels. Oh, and this, like, I literally don't have to type it at the end of a function. I just like, oh, this is the leaf. Wait, oh, this is weird. So if I would type here like 1 and nothing else, this would return from this place. It would return from the function already. Okay, I need to be really careful and mindful about this. Okay, then we have this is this none. Is there any specific reason for picking Rust, or just to learn it and have fun? From Theo Petchley. I am sorry if I butchered your name. Or is it Theo Petchley? Or is it Theo? Is it Petchley? I don't know. Anyway, sorry for butchering your name. My apologies. It's so I picked Rust because I believe at this point that this is the next important language for like security purposes and programming purposes, which I should learn. I am usually behind the curve, as I explained last time. I'm usually behind the curve with languages. I don't like rush to learn a new language every time a new language comes out. I sometimes might like write, you know, like a token program in it and then just like leave it. But yeah, but I don't learn a language before I decide that, hey, it's actually worth learning it. And I have decided that Rust is worth learning because it's starting to be everywhere. Like Linux kernel, like Microsoft stuff, like browsers, like CTF challenges, like solutions for CTF challenges. So I do think it's a good idea to learn it. From reader mute f. Okay, now let's see, because I was typing it without thinking, so let's think about what I've have typed. Okay, P is a reference to pathfish. I still don't understand why this kind of template is being used, but that's okay. I will figure that out later. And then I open a file. So I just open a file. This function is boring. And I do from reader. Perfect. What's from reader? I don't have any from reader. Did I make a typo? No, from reader is implemented next. Okay. So let's go to the next function. And it returns a from reader. So there's from reader. Okay, so I get so I guess F implements the interface of a reader. This is why I am like, I have a function below which is basically going to operate on reader, and this is the main function, and then there's basically a wrapper function which just opens the file and like calls the main function, which implements everything important. Then I have this read, and I have a source which is a mutable reader, I guess, and I again return BMP result. Okay, this is like another important tidbit actually about Rust. I did not have to declare this from reader anywhere. I didn't have to declare this, meaning that it's way better in C++, because in C++ I would be like running here and like typing that, oh, and like then later there's going to be a public function called like from reader with such and such prototype, right? And maybe I don't have to do it in Rust, which would be pretty amazing. I'm wondering if there are any specific rules to this. This is pretty interesting how it works in Python, for example, because they're like, in Python you it's a mix. It's pretty funny actually. Let me quickly show you in case you know Python. Sorry for a digression, but I guess this is how this is going to go. So I'm currently in a directory called Rust source Sondra source. Okay, so let me quickly make a. Okay, so now if I make a function which is called ASDF, and let's do print ASDF, and then I make another function which is called ABC, print ABC, right? And then if I want to call ABC here, and I call ASDF from here, this is no problem to do it. So I can do Python ASDF py. It works, right? It just works. But if I would want to call ABC from here, then I cannot do it. This will throw an exception. And there's a really funny reason why this is happening, and this is because this isn't really like this part. This isn't in Python really a declaration of a function or even a definition of a function. It kind of is a definition of a function, but what it's being compiled to in CPython is an expression which is like make function, and then it gets like all the bytecode and metadata for this function, which is basically like everything which is here, and then it the make function instruction in the Python virtual machine basically returns an object of a function. And that object is then assigned to a global variable called ABC, which kind of means that this is really like a build a function and then assign it when there's like ABC equals like whatever is like returned there, right? So this is implicit somewhere there basically, which kind of means that before this, no code was like nothing knows about this global variable function thingy ABC, so I cannot use it. I can use it only after. So it's kind of funny because in C++ I couldn't use it here because the definition would be expected to be above or rather declaration itself, right? And in Python it's kind of funny, right? Because it's mixed. So I'm wondering like what are the rules, specific rules in Rust about that. Cool. So, reader. Let's not get too distracted. Only a little bit. I create a new vector. So here's an interesting thing. Is it by default a vector of bytes? How does it know what type of a vector do I want? I didn't, or do I have like something which is called a vec here? No. If I did a vector of pixels, it was just like vec pixel. But here I'm not putting anything. Is it by default a vector of bytes? If that's by default a vector of bytes, I'm pretty happy as a hacker. Yeah, that's useful. Type inference. How is it? No, I'm not talking even about this. Like this is obviously like that I don't have to type vec something here, right? This is type inference. This is fine. But what I'm saying is like, where is this part? Like, where is this like I don't know bytes or whatever, or like a U8, I guess. Since it's Rust, it's probably going to be U8. Where is this part? I have no idea. How is it like? How did it decide what type of vector element is there going to be? And we read to end. Read to... Oh, there is a method called read to end. This is useful. In I don't know if there is one in C++. In C there is none. But that's super useful. It's inferred from the context. It will guess the type from the next line. Really? It will guess the type from here. Really? That's amazing. If that's true, this is more than I expected, honestly. Okay, I am pretty impressed right now if that's really true. I don't trust you, but... Because this sounds too good to be true, honestly. New bytes. I create a cursor. Did I already define what's a cursor? Oh no, it's from IO. What does it mean? Does it create basically like what's it called? Like an in-memory stream of data? Like an iterator over a vector? This is what it's called, like an file-like interface to a vector? That would be cool. That's useful. In Python there are things like that as well. I think in C++ as well. Don't quote me. Okay, and it returns a decoder image of this. Okay, cool. Or rather, whatever this function this method returns. Yes, you say yes, but it will be smart enough. If it can't, it will throw an error. I guess that's a compilation error and ask you to annotate. Huh. Huh. Funny. Rust is too good to be true. That feature is amazing. Honestly, I don't believe I saw a language which would be able to interfere a type for one statement, for a part of an expression in one statement from how this is used later on. I mean, technically, in a compiler, that's not that complicated to implement. I just haven't seen this before. Nice, nice. Config test. Okay, let's config test. Do I not remember cursor from std? No. Is there such a thing in C++, like std cursor? Okay, Ivan writes that a cursor wraps an in-memory buffer and provides it with a seek implementation. So yeah, so it's basically like a file-like implementation for a memory thing. Yeah, I'm not sure about C++. In Python, such a thing exists, and in C, in POSIX C, such a thing exists as well, actually, which is pretty funny. Yeah, of course, like, there are no vectors on the flip side in C unless you implement one, but it's not going to be... Okay, use super... So super, you have to explicitly say super here. Super meaning probably like the top level namespace. So this is how I would interpret super here. stdio. Let me maybe scroll it a little bit so you folks can see as well. Okay, and I get a read as a seek and a seek from. Seek from, is it like seek from as in you are in this place and seek from here like this amount of bytes forward or backwards? Size of. Okay. Size of, this is going to be interesting. Super is just one above. It's not like top level, it's just one above. Okay, so I'm guessing if I would do this, like without super here, that would be take something from the top level namespace, and this is just go one above, meaning just jump out of this mod. Is mod like a namespace? Or is it like, is this like a second module which I have here? No. No. No, I guess not. Interesting. I need to kind of figure out later how these namespaces work. Has anyone recommended the Rust book, by the way, from Long and Lost? Rust book, yes, it was recommended to me already, I think, 3 times. So it will be, I will start looking at it later, yeah. Okay, and then we have a test. Is this like a... Does the language itself, the default toolchain for Rust, already have things for testing? If so, this is pretty cool as well. In a lot of languages, you need additional libraries and stuff. So, but I guess like Python has also something for testing. Okay, function, just the name of it. Let BMP header size be equal to size of. Aha, that's basically like an assert, a compilation time assert, I guess. Or rather, the reason for this test is to be kinda like normally you would put a compilation time assert to be sure that you didn't do anything wrong with the size of a structure. Wait, I had a question on the live stream. Am I going to read, is this implementation going to read the headers directly from a file, or is it going to read them field by field? And is this question answered? This question is not yet answered. Okay, I have to look at the implementation of the decoder to see that, but what they're doing here is pointing me to the direction of thinking that, yeah, they will try to read the whole structure at the same time. Which isn't something I saw apart from C and C++, honestly. Paradox says that, oh, actually create here, create would be, not create. Oh, I'm going to type create all the time, aren't I? Yeah, I am going to type create all the time. This is going to be a common typo. Yeah, so Paradox PL says that this would be the top level likely. Something to experiment with and check later. Assert equal, and this one has an exclamation mark with it. So we have question marks and exclamation mark. Cool. Why do they do like 12 BMP header size? Oh, because it's a macro. Now I remember, it's a macro. So, okay, so that probably explains why the first parameter is going to be a constant, and only the second is going to be the expression, because I'm guessing that's how their testing library was like implemented. Cool, BMP bip. That's pretty common, I think, as well. And this doesn't return anything, so I guess like Rust just... so here's a funny question. Does Rust complain if I have a function and the function has an if and an else, right? So like two cases, and in one case I exit with some value, and in the other case I don't exit. Will Rust complain that like, hey, I actually am missing a return? Yeah, it will complain, but I'm going to answer myself, even without checking. Yes, Rust is going to complain about that, because it just makes sense. Because it needs to do also like figuring out the... I'm guessing it's like from time to time it's also figuring out the type of what's returned, right? Did this already happen? Did I just miss it? Or do I always have to explicitly tell, like, say what's going to be the result type? I'm looking for any other functions which might have been, yeah. Here, for example, yeah, so I think I have to explicitly state that, unless some newer versions of Rust actually allow me to omit this. So this would be like inferenced, inferred, what was the English word? Like basically figure it out from the code that, yeah, this is going to return a U32 and I don't have to type it. Rust will not infer return type. I think that's not a bad thing. Hayadel has written that on the chat. I think that's not a bad thing. They are inferred only for closures, I think. Okay. Okay. You need to be explicit in the signatures. It's so by design, so later everything can be inferred by Pony. That makes sense. The good hacker, hey, hello, how are you? Nice catching you live, yeah, thank you. I am going to probably stream for through August with random Rust streams out of nowhere. So yeah, even like in other time zones, I think. Function verify test BMP image, and its image. Let header be equal to image header. Is there any reason they are doing this apart from like not doing like emg.header every time? Is it just like doing an alias? I guess that's doing an alias, right? Is this going to be a reference to the header? Because the header is a complex object, right? Or is it going to copy the header? Yeah, it's something to figure out later as well, especially when I will start digging into reverse engineering parts and debugging parts. That will, like, these questions will be answered. Okay. Deline writes that the assert argument order is just offers preference. It works either way. Okay, so I guess somebody likes kinda more defensive coding approach. Creator 1. Creator 1. What's creator 1? Oh, wait, these fields are reserved. Was not creator, was reserved 0 and 1? Or do they have more information than I have about the headers? That's interesting. I'm pretty sure it's reserved on Wikipedia. I looked at yesterday's live stream in Polish, like, on that. Okay, then I have a lot of dip headers. You know what, I'm going to copy this because I'm not learning anything new or observing anything new when I type it. So let me just copy this. And am I going to look through? Yeah, I'm going to implement the rest of vectors because they do look a little bit distinct. Fn can read BMP image from file specified by path. If a test failed, does it actually like display the name of the function? I hope it does. It should, right? I mean, why not? It does have symbols probably. Or maybe this even is doing something magical with it. Okay, I don't think I have tests. I need to copy them from the other repository. Unwrap. What's an unwrap? Why would you unwrap a file? Okay, that's funny. F. What's with this unwrapping? This is, by the way, mutf. Wait, which function am I implementing even? Because I already mixed them up, right? I did. Okay, no, so this is fine. BMP image, and this I can move out a bit lower. And yeah, verify test BMP image, BMP image. There we go. What's an unwrap? That's weird. I honestly don't know, like what that could be. I can read BMP image. Yeah, like Rust has this barrow checker thingy, right? I'm guessing when I'll go into dealing with barrow checker, you will see you will be able to make a lot of funny clips with me, because I heard it takes a while to learn, and there's a lot of wrestling with it. Okay, unwrap. It's unwrapping again. I am guessing this is just like testing the other interface for this function. And then I do the same, right? I do this. Okay. And then I have another test, which is function can read image data. Let mutable f file system namespace file object, I guess, open static method RGB BMP unwrap. Okay, funny. F seek from start. Ah, I get it. Okay, this is like some special. Okay, this is cool. Now I get it. This is probably like doesn't really do anything important, this object, but it's like a more readable way to specify where you're seeking. In Python, I guess there would be like 2 arguments maybe, and like in languages like JavaScript, and you would do like seek from, or for example, you would do like seek from start equals 54 for this to be a little bit more readable. In C++, it's very slow, like. Because like writing fseek54 doesn't tell you, are you going to seek from the cursor or are you going to seek from the start, right? These are like the 2 options, and either can be possible, right? So in C++ you sometimes might you see stuff like this, like from start equals this. And obviously in C++ like it works a little bit different, but you get the idea. And what they opted to do in Rust in the standard library apparently is to use this approach, which is also used in C++ in some cases. So cool. I don't mind that at all. Open returns result file. That's what part of the world writes. But opens will return a result of a file, and result is being std optional, right? And or something similar, and unwrap will just unwrap. It will unwrap the result, so it will get the actual file from the result file. Got it. Thank you. That makes sense. Hayedel writes, unwrap is if you have a type like option u32, you can call unwrapped on it to get u32. You tell the compiler, give me that u32, and I don't care if you crash because the option was none. Okay, so it's unwrap can actually kill the application, so it's like unwrap or die. Okay, usually that functions would be like in a production code, I would call that function with like unwrap or die. So it's actually really, really obvious that, hey, this function can kill your application if it fails. Cool, good to know. So unwrap is a dangerous function, but a really useful one at the same time. Oh no, what is this? Why do I have like a list notation, an array notation, and I have a semicolon in the middle? This is weird. Another question to be answered later. Unwrap. Okay, and why do I need to unwrap here? I'm not even using the return value. Is it like required for me to unwrap everything? Or here, like, right? I'm not using the return value of this. Why am I unwrapping this? I don't know. Another question to be answered later. Maybe Rust would complain, but I haven't checked a result or didn't check an optional if it worked. Which isn't that weird. Actually, if you run compilers in really high warning modes in C or C++, you can also get, like, if you don't check the return value, you are going to get an error. Or at least a warning, but warnings are usually promoted to errors if you're writing really delicate code. Long and lost, right? But yeah, it will complain that the result is not used, so okay, cool. So I think I figured it out, and I think you on the chat did confirm it, which is amazing. Cool, that's funny. I would like... They're like already these funny characters, right? Couldn't we use another character, which is like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there was like a character which we could use to do unwrapping. Oh, maybe this one is a fine one for unwrapping. If I would do this, then it would unwrap. Why didn't they do that? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of unwrap in Rust code, or maybe there isn't. Maybe I'm just mistaken. And this is said, Jovan writes, or Jovan, is it Jovan or Jovan? Anyway, writes that this is the value and this is the count, so it's 0 is repeated 3 times. Yeah, I don't think they could have done too much better here. I don't think, like, because this is obviously taken by integers, so this isn't terrible, and this is like also way shorter than what you would have to do in Python, I guess, to achieve the same result. On the flip side, in Python you can multiply string literals, right? You can do like a times 3, and this would just give you AAA, which is pretty cool. So yeah, in Python for string literals you could do something similar, but not in this case. Kinda, no. In Python you could do this, right? Yeah, in Python this would be the equivalent. So it's... No, never mind, I take it back. Sorry, Python. Okay, then we assert if pixel RGB. BMP is using BGR, not RGB, but BGR mode, which I guess is why they did the order differently here, because it's converting the BGR to RGB at the same time. And that's it for this one. Okay, then I have a few more tests and I'm done, I think. Okay, so this was that one. Then let's go with the next one. Tests are pretty cool because in tests I can see how the functions which I implemented. Is that a word? That's not a word, right? We should make a word for that, like copy implement. Especially with ChatGPT, we should make a word like that. Yeah, so it's cool because I can see how these functions are called actually. Open test RGB W BMP unwrap assert equals okay BMP EMG len. Interesting. Versal.len method on data, and data was it a vector? I think that was a vector, right? What does wait? That's funny. What does, like, I open this file? I open a file, right? Which open am I calling? No, I'm not, because this is not fs file open. This is just open, which means I'm calling the open function. This one, yeah, this one, and this one is returning a reader. No, this is this one is returning what from reader returns, which is a decoder. So it returns a decoded image. I guess it returns a decoded image. So I guess like it returns something like a vector or something which has a .len method. Maybe we'll see. Or maybe that's a standard method for vectors. Sort. Okay, image get pixel. Okay, we are like selecting 4 random pixels in the image to test if the color matches. Okay, lime, blue, white. Okay. Len is a standard method, that's what Jovan writes. It's like, I guess like in C++ that would be .size. In JavaScript that would be .length as a field. Though that could be a getter in JavaScript, like nobody knows anyway. Function read write 1 bpp bm 1 wait what 1 pbp ppb. No, that's bpp. That's a typo. Yeah, it's a typo. Okay, I'm going to write it without a typo. So my copied code is superior. This is such an important finding. Test bmp suit test suit. Where's the bmp test suit? I didn't know that. Like I didn't know one existed basically. Unwrap. Okay. I don't think there's anything else on the unwrap. No, there isn't. Speaking of typos, 310 Heidel noted something. Here, it's this. Yeah, thank you. Well spotted, well spotted. You make a really good compiler. I'm pretty sure there are more typos. But that's okay. One by one I will fix them. When they appear. It's pretty funny, now I'm, you know, I've opened a company and I'm like still finishing the paperwork, and sometimes from some like, I fill a form, right? And then I get a letter like a few days later that saying that, hey, actually like we reject the form because you filled something incorrectly, so send us a new one. And I'm like, hey, like this is like a compilation error. I got a letter with a compilation error from the government. This is funny. But a normal compiler is usually way faster than the government in such case. So yeah, maybe that would be pretty funny, like having... But that probably happened in the past, right? If you like had to go somewhere, like, you know, in the 50s or 60s, but you wanted to use a computer, so you send them like this whole pack of the cards, right? Which were like paper cards, which they were using back then. And then like after a month or maybe a week, when somebody like put all the cards in and the program ran, and you just get a printout which says like, yeah, sorry, error, like because I don't know, you misspelled the variable or something in whatever Fortran were you using. So I guess like that also happened in the past, but yeah, like you would get an error message after a week. Government is more like console window. No news is good news. From Łukasz. That's kind of depends what you're like waiting for, right? If you're waiting for a letter which says, "Oh, we have a tax return for you," you are getting money from us. That's a good letter to receive from them. I think there was like there were some stories back in the day in Switzerland where people were like overpaying tax on purpose. Because the government had a pretty good interest rate. So when they paid you back, they actually paid you back with some interest, which was better than what some banks offered. That's what I heard. I'm not sure how true it is. Currently, that's not the case, and I think the government even says like to to like ideally not overpay the tax. Okay, anything super interesting here? Data length 1 pixel. Why do I? Oh, because I save it then again. I save it to the same file. So if that's not a good idea. If this test fails, then it basically like has overwritten the file with a broken version of it. No, but there is a valid here. So no, it's fine, because it's a different directory. It's fine, never mind, fine, all good. This is what I get for trying to be like, yeah, like finger pointing mistakes which are not there. Read, write. Ido writes, how much taxes in your country? In Israel is up to 50%. Wow, that is high, man. In Switzerland is nobody knows because it's complicated as hell. Again, like PBB here. No, we are going with BPP. Is there a reason why they written PBB? Maybe something I'm missing. So in Switzerland, it's complicated. Like it's literally really complicated because your tax, your income tax, if you're a person, right? You're not like a company. You're not like a limited liability company, but just a normal physical person. Then the tax is calculated based on the. So there's like a federal rate on federal level, then there's a cantonal level, and then there's a municipality level, basically like the town you live in or the village you live in. And the federal level is like kind of known that is going to be something. It actually gets complicated, but let me finish explaining this. And then the cantonal level and municipal level is basically, they say in percentage of cantonal level, of federal level, what is the tax. So if you like look for like what's the tax in Zurich, you might see that, oh, it's like 101%, which is like, wow, 101% tax, this is bunkers, right? But no, that's just like the percentage of the federal tax level. So the federal tax level would be like 7, then that's just like 7.03 or whatever, 0.07, I guess. So it's not that bad. And then the actual federal tax level, I think, is like a linear function based on your income. So if your income was like rather low, then the tax is going to be around like 5%. If your income is like literally millions, then the tax is going to be around 33% in total, I think. I think that's the max. Don't quote me, but I think that's the max. And on top of that, you have to add into the equation the capital tax, because if you have any assets like money on the bank account, cars, homes, and so on, you have to pay a really, really small tax every year from that, which adds to the complication. So at the end of the day, like until you kind of get the bills, you don't really know how much tax are you paying because of this linear function there. You can calculate everything, but you need that linear function, and to calculate that linear function, you do need to exactly know how much did you earn, and like that value already has subtracted everything which can be subtracted. And this also is funny because sometimes you can, for example, subtract some amount if you do not travel during the lunch break to your home, because it's kind of expected. But during a lunch break, you go home, cook, and eat. There's, I think, a 1 hour, 1.5 hour break in Switzerland for lunch. So if you don't do that, then I think you can deduct something from tax. Or maybe when you do that, you deduct it from tax. I'm not really sure. So yeah, it's complicated. Taxes in Switzerland are complicated. And this was not an advice by any means. It was just like how I understand it, and I know I understand it wrong, because that's why I employ an accountant, so that they get it right. Okay, why does this? Oh, a save. So a save doesn't return a result. Okay. And I think in Poland the maximum tax is 42 or 45%. I don't know, honestly, because when I lived in Poland, I lived in Poland like 13, 14 years ago, something like that, 13 years ago. And I know things changed from then, so I'm not sure what's the current rate. Okay, is there anything interesting in the code which I've written? Not really, no. It's just like more of the same kind of image get pixel. Cons blue. It's pretty cool because that kind of means that I can, if I have structures of plain old data, I can just compare them. Iterators, my family, part of my family is in Poland, part of my family, as in my wife, is with me, of course. But yeah, like my parents are already, you know, on retired, right? So we don't talk with them about taxes, I guess, or about income taxes because they are retired, so it's a bit different. And I don't think we chatted with my brother about it. Test suit error 9 valid 8 bits per pixel. Oh, they don't have 16 bits per pixel test. Okay, I'm going to skip like likely the rest of the tests. Is there like a part of a system which complains but there are like no full test coverage? That'd be cool. So I'm going to transcribe this test and then I'm going to see if there's anything else interesting which is different than what I'm writing. That being said, it's probably like, I probably should copy the tests still, because if I don't copy them and something doesn't work, it will be harder for me to figure out where did I make a mistake. On the flip side, I can just like compare the files with meld or whatever, so... Blue. Okay, and then I basically just do this. But you can't have like 12% in Poland, really? Only 12%? I didn't know that. I thought 19 was like minimal in Poland always. Okay, cool. So this is like basically identical, this is identical, this is identical, this one isn't. So I'm going to copy these three in. Since I'm not learning anything new by transcribing these. What's up with indentation? Hey, what's the indentation, like 2 in Rust, or is it 3? Because I don't know if this wasn't 3. Wow, this is not going well. Yeah, it's 24. Okay, cool. Let's do one more here and one more here, one here, one here, and transcribe the next one. Ido writes, is it normal in Rust that tests are in the same file? Sometimes it could be like 80% of test code. No, I guess it depends, right? I mean, sometimes in Python I put the tests in the same file as well. It's somewhat convenient to have them in the same file. I don't mind it, honestly. I don't, but if the file is like, well, this file is already like 500 lines. And here it's even longer because they have comments, right? So I would expect tests to be in a different file. On the flip side, that's not, but it's a little bit convenient even. So I'm not sure if that's idiomatic or maybe that's just what the author of this project wanted to do, but I don't mind having tests in the same file, unless there's like, the file is really like 1000 lines of code, then I would prefer to have the tests in some other place. Existing, how do you write existing? Okay, image. Let result equal to open test, no image. Okay, and then I don't do, and here I don't do unwrap because this fails because the image doesn't exist. And then I do a match on the result. This match looks a little bit different than, like, this looks like a Python match. Which I don't know too much about, honestly, because it's a kind of a new feature. BMP error kind, BMP error kind. What am I looking at? Okay, 2 dots. There are 2 dots here. And then I get a different kind of arrow function. And nothing, and I say that it's expected. And I guess this is a return value. Like this is a return value of void, right? Or something null, whatever it's called in Rust, if such a thing exists. And this is otherwise. I already saw it before. This is like default. And in default, I do a panic. And a panic apparently is a macro, but it looks really cool. Like panic exclamation mark. Like, yeah, panic here. No image x. Hey, is this like Genvail reacts to Rust? Kinda, I guess. And then I panic, or rather Rust panics. Something is wrong with my indentation, but it's wrong here. Oh, that's why it didn't work. I was like, hey, what's up with indentation being so weird? Yeah, there we go. Okay, there is more of the same. I'm going to transcribe it again because it's pretty weird. I don't know what's going on there. Stream quality low, resetting. Okay, let's just scroll it a little bit higher. It should be, the stream quality should get back to normal in a second. Opening image with wrong bits per pixel. So again, I let result open test bmp suit9 valid 32 bpp 1x1 bmp. Then I match the result to error bmp error. I honestly don't understand the syntax. Unsupported bits per pixel, and then this. I don't know what this does. And this is again expected probably, so I'm just going to blindly type in expected as a comment. And then it's the same, right? Otherwise panic. 32 bpp are not yet supported. Okay. Interesting. Let's look at this a little bit. Is this just like... Am I just creating like an object bmp error and I set the kind of an object to this? And then all the other fields are like default field or something? And then I have this weird arrow here, so I'm guessing this is like some kind of a comparator, matcher, filter, whatever you call it. Okay, interesting. Again, I'm not going to transcribe more, I'm just going to copy paste this one. Does this one look different? Now these look identical to the ones I did, so let's do that. Oh, and that's then the other file. Okay, cool. So I think I have this file typed in. This is why it didn't work before, like indentation, because we are actually using indentation of 4 and I'm using indentation of 2. Is there anything which I should type in here, or is this... No, I think I saw all the syntax already. Cool. Okay, so I think I'm going to finish the stream here, and next time I'm going to implement the decoder. How long is it? 300 lines, so that's not bad. Implement. I'm going to copy, because somebody already was kind enough to implement it for me. And the encoder, this encoder is short, so I'm going to start with the encoder. There are a lot of question marks, like, was the programmer not sure about what's going on here, and this is why we placed the question mark? I'm just joking, of course, so... Cool. Perfect. So I think this is a good idea to finish the stream. And yeah, the stream quality goes haywire basically every 1.5 hour, 1 hour 45 minutes. I don't know why. I don't know if it's an OBS bug or like something with YouTube. No idea. Okay, so let me look through the chat. Deline writes that, yeah, Rust allows for really amazing horrific pattern matching in Match and some other places. Okay. Well, there's probably a CTF challenge about it then. Long and Lost writes, it matches any BMP error where the kind matches that enum and the rest can be anything. Oh my. Oh, interesting. Yes, the left side of arrow function is a pattern. Okay, so this is a pattern actually. I guess I need to figure out later what's error. Is it part of a language or is it like something, I don't know, like an interface or something maybe? I don't know, I need to figure out why is it error? Why is it not just BMP error and then something? Cool, so thank you folks for being here and helping me learn Rust. Next time I'm going to just copy the encoder and the decoder. I think this is going to take me 2 more hours, so I think I can 2 or maybe 3 more hours. So, and then I'm going to look to try and compile this. Oh, there are actually a couple of more files, I think, but they're pretty short. Let's just go outside of this directory. No, I think that's actually it. I'm going to copy the example, and the example is minimal. Sorry, I'm going to type in the example, and the example is minimal. But I am going to copy it because it's interesting as well. So yeah, I think about like 3 more hours I'm going to copy it, and then I can find another thing and also start typing it in, but with making notes this time around. I think this is how I'm going to go about it, because this code is pretty long. It's already going to be like around 1,000 lines of code, which I've transcribed, so I think I can go to like after I finish this, right? I can go with the next step, which would be like just noting the questions which I want to have answered later on. So thank you folks for your help. Thank you folks for Charlie for being here, and I'm going to likely make another live stream tomorrow at a really random hour. So yeah, see you then, see you tomorrow. Have a great evening, rest of your day, depending on what time zone you are in, and yeah, and see you around folks. And this stream is going to stop in a random moment because I still don't have the end screen implemented, so bye bye.